Other news tonight, President Tinubu presides over inaugural Federal Executive Council meeting. Servicing debt with 90% of revenue is a path to destruction, Tinubu tells Nigerians. And NEMA alerted over Cameroon's plan to open Lagdo Dam. Many thanks for joining us on News Now. I am Simisola Adigun. The newly inaugurated ministers have held their first Federal Executive Council FEC meeting at the council chambers of the State House in Abuja. The meeting, which was presided over by President Bola Tinubu, had in attendance the Vice President Kashim Shettima, the Secretary to the Government of the Federation George Akume, the Head of the Civil Service of the Federation Folashade Yemi Eson, and the Chief of Staff to the President Femi Gbajabiamila. The 45 ministers who scaled through the screening were inaugurated on Monday last week after their confirmation by the Senate in line with its constitutional obligations. President Bola Tinubu has called for collective efforts in his administration's fight to end the regime of poverty in the country. President Tinubu made this call on Sunday while declaring open the annual conference of the Nigerian Bar Association. The conference, themed Getting It Right, charting the course for Nigeria's nation building, had over 16,000 lawyers as well as high-ranking government officials in attendance. Our correspondent Folashade Ogunrinde tells us more in this report.
Security, economy, and administration of justice is a thematic focus of the 63rd Annual General Conference of the Nigerian Bar Association. Speaking at the event, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu decried the country's continuous servicing of public debt with about 90% of its revenue, a situation he describes as unsustainable.
How did we get here? The hardship, but can we continue to service external debts with over 90% of our revenue? It's a path to destruction. We cannot continue that. We have to make hard decisions.
In his speech to more than 16,000 lawyers, President Tinubu said Nigeria has taken too long to eradicate poverty. To this end, President Tinubu said hard decisions must be made to set the country on a growth trajectory.
If we must achieve greatness as a nation, what do we do except take bold decisions? It could be painful at the beginning. In the medium term and long run, it's not about you, it's not about me, it's about the generation yet unborn.
In his keynote address, the founder of the Tony Elumelu Foundation urged Nigerians to collaborate with the government in the achievement of national development.
Transforming Nigeria is a journey that demands our collective dedication. Building across political affiliations, ethnic differences, and socio-economic differences. Building and transforming our nation is one that is not the responsibility of our government alone. Great nations start with great people, not great leaders.
On his part, the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice Lateef Fagbemi charged legal practitioners to serve selflessly by promoting human rights of all Nigerians and upholding the rule of law. Folashade Ogunrinde, TV360 News.
The Police Service Commission has ordered 4 Deputy Inspectors General of Police, DIGs, to proceed on compulsory retirement. In a statement on Monday by its spokesman, Ikechukwu Ani, the Commission said the directive was in exercise of its statutory powers pursuant to the 3rd schedule of the 1999 Constitution, reinforced with Section 6 of the Commission's Establishment Act of 2001. Also, the Police Commission approved the appointment of 4 Assistant Inspectors General of Police to the rank of DIGs. The Commission said the new DIGs were drawn from the same respective geopolitical regions of the retired ones. The federal government has alerted states and relevant government agencies over plans by the Cameroonian government to open the floodgate of Lagdo Dam on the Benue River. In an alert issued by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the Cameroonian authorities said they will open the dam in days ahead due to heavy rainfall around the dam catchment area in the northern part of the country. The effect of the release of water from this dam is largely felt on surrounding regions in about 13 states in Nigeria, including Kogi, Benue, Adamawa, Bauchi, Borno, Gombe, Taraba, and Yobe states. Others include Niger, Nasarawa, Kebbi, Kogi, Edo Delta, Anambra, Cross Rivers, and Bayelsa states. Moving on, a human rights group has called for the enforcement of compulsory treatment and care for victims of gunshot injuries by hospitals without police report. This call was made in Lagos at a gathering to discuss compulsory treatment and care for victims of gunshot injuries and accidents, calling for the implementation of the 2017 Act as amended by the National Assembly. The Compulsory Treatment and Care for Victims of Gunshot Wounds Act of 2017 provides that every hospital, public or private, shall receive for treatment any person with gunshot wound with or without police clearance or monetary deposit.
The biggest problem is for those who are indigent and poor. And like I said, in Lagos, for example, that's an old story. Lagos State had taken care of them. There's now a provision for indigent. There's a fund for indigent victims who know about it. And that's why this awareness is being created. And I say that the First Lady, the now First Lady, when he was a senator, I've already moved for another bill to provide for such. And that bill had gone through the second reading. So it's my hope that I will continue to reach her to see whether she can use her connection to make sure that they make provisions for those who cannot pay their bill.
For all citizens to comply with the provisions of the law, if the citizens do not comply with the provisions of the law, there are consequences according to the law.
The police should try and carry their, the low cadre officers along. Many of them are not informed. Some of them, they just do things anyhow. Possibly they need regular training. So you train them because they are the one out there. The bosses who are learned, fine. Some of they are also educated, the police officers. But if you are ignorant of some things, you might not really do what you are supposed to do. You understand? So they should educate their local officers.
So electoral matters now. With just 3 months to the Kogi State governorship election, the candidate of the Social Democratic Party SDP, Murtala Yakubu Ajaka, has visited the Ohinoye of Ebira land, Ado Ibrahim, to seek his blessings. Speaking during the visit after Jumat prayers on Friday in Okene, Ajaka described the paramount ruler as the father of all and detribalized Nigerian. Addressing his campaign trail, the paramount ruler, while giving his blessings to Ajaka, said that his palace is open to all candidates of the November 11 governorship election.
Well, I want to tell you, His Excellency is a family friend. We have come a long way. Senator Eti Ahmed is also his political godfather. So he came into Okene on his way to Abuja to pay homage to the memories of Alhaji Ahmed Rufai, that's Eti Ahmed's father, and Eti Ahmed himself. The significance is that he came here at the right time, prayed in the mosque, and then he's here to pray and then ask for clearance to go ahead with what he's doing.
I'm very grateful to His Royal Majesty, Alhaji Dr. Ado Ibrahim Atta III, the Ohinoye of Ebira land. He has shown leadership. He has shown that he is the father of all by the way he spoke today. He's a peaceful man. He's a man for everybody. And these are the kind of things we want to emulate. by the grace of God, when we win, come November 11. So I'm thrilled by what I saw. I'm thrilled by the acceptance from our people. And I'm very hopeful that November 11, I will surely win.
As climate change continues to raise concerns on human survival, especially in the area of food security and good nutrition, there are predictions that Nigeria may face an even worse environmental and food production crisis. Rising from this, analysts have called on the federal government to ensure food security and nutrition outcomes are strengthened amidst threats by climate change. This next report has more details.
The effects of climate change on food insecurity have now become very direct and substantial. In Nigeria, 1 in 10 children die from hunger before the age of 5, and an estimated 25 million people are at risk of food insecurity, according to a report from the United Nations Children's Fund. The disturbing figure from food insecurity has been met with concern from newly elected President Bola Tinubu, who declared a state of emergency on food insecurity.
Accordingly, and in line with this administration's position on ensuring that the most vulnerable are supported, the President has declared with immediate effect the following actions. 1, a state of emergency on food security. 2, that all matters pertaining to food and water availability and affordability as essential livelihood items be included within the purview of the National Security Council.
Despite this action by the President, analysts say more than a declaration will be needed to increase food production in Nigeria.
Farmers cannot go to farm again. Benue, that used to be the bread basket of the country, I don't know how much food they're able to grow now. It has even become a security problem. If the government is serious, you don't just declare state of emergency or whatever name you call it without tackling the fundamentals. Number 1, if we must tackle the problem of insecurity, then you must make the environment friendly for agricultural production.
Nigerian smallholder farmers produce some 90% of the country's food on unirrigated lands and are mostly dependent on rainfalls, but crops are now vulnerable to ever-changing weather conditions, leading to low crop yields.
They go out and plow on their own strength and pull from their own resources in order to give us what we are able to get. I hope they don't relent in that. And I do hope that while they are struggling at it, help comes to them from the government, support comes to them so that there will be more output in terms of food production.
Nigeria is ranked as the 53rd most vulnerable country and the 6th least country in the world to adapt to climate change, according to the Notre Dame Global Adaptation Index reports.
We seem not to be aware yet that we ought to move from food, feeding and fiber production to environmental conservation. We still plant as if we have the whole earth laid out before us like before. We have lost a large portion of it to the climate change effect.
To further strengthen and increase understanding of the linkages between climate change and food security, experts say countries must deploy mechanisms to ensure resilient food production systems, stressing the importance of exploring innovative financing mechanisms to mobilize resources for climate change adaptation and agricultural development. Mary Kanu, TV360, Nigeria.
We'll take a break here, but still to come, France defies ultimatum for ambassador to leave Niger Republic. We'll bring you details of the story and more when we return. Welcome back. Here's a quick recap of some of our top stories tonight. The newly inaugurated ministers have held their first Federal Executive Council FEC meeting at the council chambers of the State House in Abuja. The meeting, which was presided over by President Bola Tinubu, had in attendance the Vice President, Kashim Shettima, the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, George Akume, the Head of the Civil Service of the Federation, Folashade Yemieso, and the Chief of Staff to the President, Femi Gbajabiamila. We also told you that President Bola Tinubu has called for collective effort in his administration's fight to end the regime of poverty in the country. President Tinubu made the call on Sunday while declaring open the annual conference of the Nigerian Bar Association. Now, in case you missed any of our news bulletins, and for more updates, you can catch us on Limex World TV or log on to our website on www.tv316nigeria.com. You can also follow us on our social media platforms on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube at TV360 Nigeria. On Facebook, we're at TV360 Online. Alpha. Yeah. In business, based on the recent numbers released by the National Bureau of Statistics on Nigerians' gross domestic product report of Q2 2023 on the economy, experts have examined the marginally GDP growth that were recorded between the first quarter and second quarter of 2023. Speaking on this development, economic experts say there are various factors that can be attributed to these effects, but one of the major factors is the fuel subsidy removal, which have triggered economic meltdown in different sectors of the economy. They, however, expressed concern on not meeting OPEC's quota, which has been the major factor affecting the oil sector, as well as making the right policies that can generate growth in the nation's GDP.
Economic situations in the country. Peaks are peaks. The first and second quarter 2022, first and second quarters 2023. You will agree with me that last year, between the first and second quarters, all the universities in Nigeria were down. And when one aspect is being affected, it has a way of affecting all other aspects of the economy. So one major factor that I knew, caused problem between the first and second quarter of 2022 was the close down of the academic section throughout throughout Nigeria, close down of the university throughout Nigeria. What government is supposed to be talking about is, okay, how can we ameliorate, how can we reduce the effect of these increase in the prices of transportation and all those things on the people, not going through the routes of, okay, they will increase the price of, no. We shouldn't go to that route again. Never. They should just, leave the price, let the markets be determining the price.
Nigeria's external reserves has dropped by $950 million after the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, officially floated the Naira and liberalized the foreign exchange market. On Sunday, CBN data showed that the reserves, which stood at $34.66 billion as of June 14, 2023, when the Naira was floated, fell to $33.74 billion as of August 24, 2023. The Naira value had closed at 471 Naira per dollar at the Investor and Exporter Forex window on June 13, a day before the CBN announced the Naira float. We'll take a break here and return with the stock market report. Do stay with us. The Nigerian exchange kicked off the new week with gains despite latest data from the local bourse showing that the total amount of stocks bought by foreign investors plunged to 9.45 billion naira from 22.72 billion naira in June 2023. The market is up 0.9%, that's 66,151 basis points, while market capitalization closed at 36,205 trillion naira. A 4.75 naira gain by Dangote Sugar Refinery and 3 kobo gain by Omatech Ventures sees both equities top the gainers counter. Now, at the close of trading, 311 million shares were traded in 7,193 deals. Onto the global scene, the Dow Jones and Nikkei are trading up, boosted by mounting hopes that the Federal Reserve will take a rate hike breather in September. On the global scene, France's ambassador has remained in Niger despite being given a 48-hour deadline to leave the country last Friday. French President Emmanuel Macron confirmed in a defiant speech. Ambassador Sylvain Ite, who has refused to meet Niger's new leaders after the coup, had been ordered to go amid rapidly deteriorating bilateral ties. But hours after the coup leader's deadline had passed, Macron, while giving a major foreign policy speech to ambassadors in Paris, applauded it for staying put. In Monday's speech, Macron defended France's military presence in Niger, stating that without intervention from Paris, the country would no longer exist with its existing borders. Well, up next is Entertainment Report on News Now.
The Big Brother Niger All-Star season held its first eviction since the abolition of the use of jury in the new week. This week's eviction saw Tolani Baj and Fraud evicted from the reality show, making them the 4th and 5th housemates to be evicted. Tolani Baj didn't hint at the possibility of taking a relationship with Neil to the next level before exiting the house, but Fraud, whose wife had a baby while he was on the show, couldn't hide his excitement as he talked about reuniting with his family. Marjorie Bridges, the wife of well-known TV personality Steve Harvey, has debunked allegations that she cheated on her husband. Speculations of an impending divorce and Marjorie's infidelity followed an incident involving a disparaging post about comedians by Steve Harvey's erstwhile social media manager. Online rumors of adultery claimed that Bridges was filing for divorce because of an alleged adulterous relationship with their cook and bodyguard. Meanwhile, Ned Nwoko, a Nigerian businessman and a friend of Steve's, has also debunked the rumors, saying that he reached out to Ave, who dismissed the claims and affirmed that he and his wife were doing well. And that's all on the entertainment segment of News Now. Omomi Seriki, TV360 Nigeria.
And in sports, Novak Djokovic has launched his quest for a 24th Grand Slam singles title on Monday as the US Open gets underway, with the Serbian needing only a first-round victory to reclaim the world #1 ranking. The 36-year-old Serbian star makes a long-awaited return to the USTA Billie Jean King National Tennis Center after missing the 2022 tournament due to his refusal to get vaccinated for COVID-19. Djokovic needs just 20 points to regain the #1 ranking after defeating current #1 and defending US Open champion Carlos Alcaraz in the Cincinnati Open earlier this month. The tournament is scheduled to be held from August 28 to September 10 in New York. That's all on News Now this evening. Many thanks for staying with us. I'm Simisola Adigun.